Hey guys, I'm just jumping on real quick for a short video today because I got a question on the video I did yesterday about the manifesting within your dream. And this is from Diana, and she says, what does it mean if you are dreaming opposite of what you are manifesting or what you're asking for? And I thought, well, it's quite a loaded question. It's an amazing question. And there's way too much to go into to type a response. So Diana, this is for you. Thank you for asking that question. And we are going to go into what does it mean when opposites show up and what are you supposed to do? And it's really a simple thing. And I'm going to break it down real quick. It's going to be a short video so that you can understand how this is part of your wish fulfilled, even though your conscious mind is going, nope, you're going in the wrong direction, right? Because think about this, every once in a while when you're driving your car, you occasionally have to back up in order to go forward. So this is just a little pullback, but what does it really mean? And we're going to just like lay this out for you right now. So if you are new here, welcome to the Invincible CEO Wish Fulfilled Playground. My name is Dede Powerniak, and I help you manifest with ease because manifestation is simple, easy, and fun. Your conscious mind wants to make it a lot more complicated. Like, what do we do with opposites? Because, oh no, right? And when we live in this world of duality of opposites. So manifestation is simple, easy, and fun. But ultimately, I want to see you win. I want to see you win big. I want to see you win all the time because you're always manifesting. You're always 24/7 rendering. It's just what are you observing and which character are you in, right? So these are questions that you have to ask yourself. But let's dive in. So before we do, take a moment to like, give us a high five, subscribe, big hug, share, because we present manifestation, and it's really mindset and manifestation. We're merging the two here because you have two minds. Manifestation is very, very subconscious, and then the conscious mind feels lonely, like it was in charge for a while, and now it doesn't have a job to do, so it starts to create chaos while you're waiting for these manifestations to arrive. And we're really not waiting for manifestations, but it can be very confusing, and I don't want you to be confused anymore. So let's talk about these opposites, right? You live in a world of duality. And I've talked before, I have a really cool, amazing digital course, The 7 Business Laws of the Energetic Universe. And it's from the book The Kabbalion by the 3 Initiates. And there's the law of the all. There's the law of correspondence. There's the law of vibration, which the law of attraction is a sub-law. There's the law of polarity. There's the law of rhythm, the law of cause and effect, and the law of gender. So when we talk about opposites, we're already down, and not that one is more important than the other, and they can be taken in any order. And I have blogs written on my theinvincibleceo.com. If you go to the blog, I really break down these laws there. So there's beautiful blogs that are already written there. But when we talk about opposites, we're at the version of the law of polarity, right? So first, let's do a real quick recap. The law of the all says you're it, tag you're it, you're the operant power, this is all you. Then we get to the law of correspondence, as above, so below, which is I call the law of mirrored reality, that you are always getting your reality mirrored back to you. Law of vibration says that everything has a vibration and it will show up differently based on the vibration you are on. So if we look at color, red is the slowest vibration. So if you're looking at red, your eyes are interpreting red. It's a slow vibration. By the time you go to orange, it gets a little faster in vibration. That's why you can differentiate. So this shows you that multiple levels of vibration can be in the same template, right? Then you get to yellow, it's even faster. Green is even faster, and all the way up. When we get to the law of polarity, is then we go, okay, we're the all, but we're now creating opposites, right? So by the time you get to polarity, there's opposites. There's the total absolute and the total lack of. So if we talk about temperature, hot is on one end, cold is on the other. How do you know which one is the absolute? Well, when you're in the absolute, you take away to get to the total lack of. So if we're talking about a pizza and it has 8 slices, that's the absolute. But if you open up the box and there's 3 left, there's lack of. So you're moving towards the total lack of, right? And how do you know that there's lack, meaning there's 3 slices, there should be 8, because you know what the absolute is. So whatever scale you're on, if you're saying I don't have enough, then you must know what the enough is, because how do you know you don't have enough of it, right? When people say I don't have enough money, or I'm not smart enough, okay, well, tell me what the enough is, and they go, I don't know what it is. So you put yourself on a pole that you haven't even identified with. So this is all about the identification of. So when you have opposites, right, you ask for $10,000. And let's say you have $500 in your bank account. You're on the pole, right? Because you know you want 10,000, you have 500. So you're not a total lack, you're not a total zero. But all of a sudden, a bill comes in for 300. And then another bill for another 300. Now you're in the negative. And it seems like, well, I asked for this. Why is this showing up? So that's at the law of polarity. But if we go down one further into the law of rhythm, once we have those 2 points, and I'm going to put up a video of, I love the rides, the ship at the amusement park, and it starts it starts right here, right? I call it 6 o'clock on a clock. It's at 6 o'clock, and then it starts to swing to 5 to 7, 5 to 7, and then it goes 4 to 8, right? And then 3 to 9. Right. So whatever way you swing and open up in this direction, you swing and open up in another direction. So another analogy I'll give to you is, let's say you live in a studio apartment and it's just one big room, right? And you have all your stuff there. And you decide to go and buy a 3-bedroom house. So if you take your stuff from your studio apartment and put it into your house, even though consciously you've opened up this big space, it's going to seem like lack because you don't have enough stuff, furniture, to fill up the whole house. So even though in your mind you've gone into something better, a bigger house, technically you've gone into the negative because you don't have the stuff to fill up the house. So really, when you're going into the opposite, what your mind is acknowledging is that on that scale of polarity, you're still geared towards the opposite as opposed to what it is that you've asked for. But it's a little pullback, right? And I think of an arrow. You have to pull the arrow back in order to project it forward to give it that momentum. So if you're at 6 o'clock and you go to 3 o'clock, when it swings back, it's not going to stop at 6. It's going to go all the way to 9. So when you're in the opposite, it just lets you know that you've pulled your energy into that bigger reality, into that bigger space. And now there's the equal opposite reaction, but you don't have to stay there. So once you see the opposite show up, you know that you now have opened up the space for what it is that you've asked for, and you are in the wish fulfilled, because it has to, your mind always will create balance. So I'm going to give you a story that happened to me, and I share my stories. So back in the day, when I was getting divorced, I asked for a divorce, and my friend circle was not happy about this because we were, it was always the husband and wives come together. And they thought that it would pass and that I would change my mind. But when I've decided something, when I get to something that big, that I've made that kind of a big decision, you better believe that I am so present and aware that there is no backsliding, there is no wobble. And it took me a while to get there, but when I did, I did. So after some time, and I guess whatever the allotted time was that people thought I would change my mind and go back, at the time, I would call a friend. And in a way, she was. But she was friending in her way of friending, which most people would say, how is that a friend? But she brought in bigger awareness for me. And so she came to me one day and she's like, I have to have a heart-to-heart talk with you. I think you're making the biggest mistake of your life. And I'm opening to hear what she has to say, but there's nothing at that point that she can say that's going to convince me otherwise, because she wasn't living me. She can only see what my relationship was from her vantage point, which is a very logical and reasonable, and it's allowed to be. Her vantage point is her vantage point, right? That's why we never push against anything. So she came into me and she was going on, you're making this big mistake, and here's all the reasons why. And she's like, you have 5 kids, you have stretch marks. No man is going to want to be with you with 5 kids from somebody else and stretch marks, even though you're muscular and blah, blah, blah. And she's going on and on and on. Now, part of me is like, am I hearing the words that she's actually saying? Like, that's why I say when you come to cognitive dissonance, you're in between realities. It's a hybrid moment. And she's going on and on and on and on and saying all these things as to why that I would not be desirable to be in a relationship. Now, that wasn't even my thought in my mind, to be into another relationship. Like, let me end one thing, learn about and have a relationship with myself. And maybe someday there might be some room to open up for someone else. Like that's where didn't even ask me where I was or what. This is the assumption was that I wanted out here because I wanted something else out there. And that's never been how I am. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it if that's how you are. So all of this was about her thinking that I wanted to be with someone else. And as she's going on and giving all the reasons why that no real serious guy is going to be with someone with 5 kids, it's just way too much work and blah, 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 and going on and on and on and on. And then about my body, even though I'm muscular and I look great with clothes on, she's seen my stretch marks and guys don't like stretch marks and all this stuff. And then something inside me clicked. Oh my goodness, look how extreme my mind, because if this is all a dream, she's a dream character, and dream characters say the darndest things, right? That's why we're always in a dream, whether we're in a nighttime dream or a daytime dream. And this was playing out, and it's allowed to play out. And at first, I have to say, I was like a little bit taken aback. But because she went on and it was just so extreme to the opposite, like I wasn't even thinking about this stuff, and I don't think about myself that way, and I didn't think about my body that way. I'm very proud, regardless of where my body was. I'm always proud of what my body has accomplished, right? I've given birth 5 times to 5 beautiful children. And it was just like it wasn't resonating. And then it just immediately was like, oh, and she's like, oh, I'm like, I get it. And she's like, you get it, right? I'm making sense to you. I'm like, in a way, but probably not the way you think you are. And she's like, well, what does this mean to you? Like, what are you computing? And I'm like, you're going to such an extreme, like a ridiculous extreme opposite. And even if your opposite is a little bit, it has enough momentum. But right away, if my mind was creating a character to come and say this to me, and so moved and inspired to do so, and that was the extreme of the swing, then that means the equal and opposite must be available to me also, which means in my mind, I was going to have the jackpot Powerball of partners. Because if my mind was trying to get me to go back into that reality with that level of extremeness in the opposite direction, I now realize I opened up for the Powerball of partners. And honestly, folks, I'm with the Powerball of partners. Because once in that moment of extremeness that I decided I let this person come in, because what's allowed to be said and what's happening in the now moment is just happening. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have the Powerball of partners. And she's like, no, 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 no. That's not what I mean. I'm like, I know what you mean. And I know that you really mean what you're saying and you're trying to get a point. But what you're accomplishing is letting me know what swing I'm on and what my opposite is. So whenever I'm about to do something and the opposite shows up, I get excited and I pay attention to how much effort and energy my opposite has, because that lets me know what I've opened up extreme wise that my mind believes that I can handle in both directions. And I allowed that moment to pull me into that direction, knowing that I was nowhere near wanting any kind of partner at all at that moment. But that knowing that when the time would come, because I've activated that type of extreme, there was nothing to think about. There was nothing to worry about. It was so beautiful in its explanation that I knew if I just stayed in the naturalness of whatever I was doing, that when I was ready to do that, the Powerball winning jackpot partner would show up. And guess what? When I was ready, and it was years later, because it was me, I wasn't going to just jump into it knowing that was going to be, because I wanted to make sure in the meantime that I was that partner for myself. I wanted to be my own powerful partner, jackpot partner for myself. Because if I can be it for myself, then I can be it for a partner when I choose one. And if I'm going to be that for my partner, I know that partner would be that for me. That's the power of opposites if you're in them. So when you ask for something and it seems like you're in the pullback or the opposite is showing up, just observe, allow it to be. And again, she was beside herself. She's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm like, no, that's what I'm understanding, because I understand what you're saying and it's a valid point. but it's not about what it means to you because you're not being Dede. I'm being Dede. If you think you got Dede down so much, next time you come back into form, you can play my character. But you go do you, and you do you because Dede doesn't want to be you. I want to be me. I want to explore this character's story arc. I want to change and create reality under this character. And that's how you allow the 3D to show and present itself to you. So now when I have these crazy ideas of things that I want to bring into being, and I say, and I start sharing it, and someone goes, oh, that'll never happen. And here's all the reasons why. That's my sign it's done. All I need is one. If one person says that'll never happen, soon as we're in, because I've assigned this ahead of time, that if that's being said to me, that's the level of the extreme opposite. And when I look at that, that'll never happen, I'll be like, give me some more feedback, because do I need to invoke more of the opposite? Because then you start to go in, and instead of the opposite happening to you, you start to invoke it yourself. So Diana, I hope that clears that up for you, why the opposite, what's to do. So let's just recap one more time. When you ask for something new, know that it's a possibility that you've activated the equal and opposite, because every reaction has an equal and opposite. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And when it shows up, and it may or may not, but if it does, get excited. Get excited, allow it to happen. And in that now moment that it's happening, allow it to play out. And then when it's done, you bring yourself to 0 point. And now you decide what that means to you, and you command that story into the reality. When she came in and said, no one would ever want to be with me because of how my physical body was, and I have 5 kids, and all of this other stuff going on, blah, 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 blah. It's then I took that and said, because of how my body is, and because of the loving family that I've created, somebody would be so excited to join in with me and my children, should I choose that someday. And it will be the most amazing partnership ever. And from that moment, I started to say to myself, what kind of partner do I want to be to me? What kind of partner do I want to be to me? Meaning that if I never got another partner ever again, right? So I took like almost a whole year for myself, and I said, okay, if I'm never going to have another partner again, can I be the partner of a lifetime to myself so that I wouldn't need a partner in all aspects, in money, in taking myself, I took myself out on dates, I took myself to the movies, I took myself out to dinner, I took myself to different locations, did things on my own, did things with my friends too. But I was okay showing up to events with no partner at all. Like, and I was enjoying the freedom that allowed me, so that when it came time, I would have that beautiful, clear, concise point of focus to know that I'm not bringing someone in to complete me. I'm bringing someone in to add on to the completed version of myself that I already was. All right, guys, I hope this was very helpful to you. I do want to mention, because she mentioned this in a dream, this is the second time I'm mentioning this, on July 20th and 21st, we have a new 2-day masterclass, How to Manifest Within, and we're going to go into the nighttime dream in this 2-day event. There is links in the description box below so that you can get more information at any time. You can always email me at Denise at the Invincible CEO if you have any more questions about that. You will be blown away, because we are going to take one of your dreams, and it doesn't matter if you just had it or you had it 10 years ago, to show you how your mind has been knowing that this moment that you would be asking for this thing, that it's going to reveal to you from the dream how it's going to manifest, and how you can use your nighttime dreams to interpret them, to know what to do during the daytime to move into your next step. That's how powerful this 2-day event is going to be. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep your questions coming. Keep your comments coming. You ask a question and I feel like it's better answered in a video, you could be a comment-inspired video, just like our viewer, Diana. Thank you guys so much. I will see you next time. And until then, happy manifesting. Enjoy.